much, I've been saying it the last couple of videos, I'm gonna get to doing the undercoating. So today I'm really starting it. I know got the rear end out, got the gas tank out now. I already started wire wheeling a little bit, but now it's time to wire wheel the whole underside of the car. Yeah, so pretty much just going to use a drill, different wire wheels if I need to, the sanders, I think that's 80 grit, so I'm just going to use that to pick up some different goggles. The last ones were letting a lot of the dirt and stuff in, so hopefully these are a little bit better. But other than that, I've been getting a few parts in. This one just showed up, so that's the outer rocker. So that should be a good replacement for the rocker. Also, buddies from Colorado G-Body, Jared dropped off the inner rocker. He had an extra one from his Monte Carlo. So be using that for the inner rocker. But he also dropped off another piece to the puzzle, the hood. Yeah, let me stop talking. I'm gonna throw all the goggles and mask on, throw some gloves on, just get to it. So I'll update you guys when I'm done with it. I think you've seen enough of the underside of the car, and it's gonna be a little dark in here because I'm keeping the garage closed, not letting any light in, so that's just gonna let the cold air in. But with the light, with the rear end out, it's definitely gonna give me a lot more room to just move around and clean up, not having to work around anything. I still have to remove those upper control arms for the rear, so probably take those out first and then get to it. Alright, you see it's starting to clean up nice. I'm not trying to take it down to bare metal, just trying to knock the dirt off and the loose rust. So I'll still go in those small areas where I couldn't get that pretty much the cup style wire wheel. I'll go through with either a wire brush or a smaller wheel on there and clean those areas up, get that dirt knocked out. And then on the actual body, that's the frame. I'm mostly using the wire wheel on the frame. So on the body, I'll use it in some areas where you see that undercoating, but for the most part I'll just get some 80 grit and use a sander and knock that dirt off. Alright, I know I said I was going to wire wheel most of this, but that's a point where I started sanding it down and you can see the difference. This was with the wire wheel. It got some of the overspray or the previous paint off, but you can still see this black coating was still on there. And this was like 10 seconds with the sander. So I think I'm just gonna end up sanding most of it down. And I do the inner wheel wells also, just sand those, clean those up a little bit. But yeah, that's the difference between wire wheel and the sander. So for the most part, it's cleaning up. Still a long ways to go. Got probably almost half of the underbody done. So that's with the wire wheel. Pretty much wire wheel is just knocking the bigger pieces off, and then the sander is actually getting everything off that it needs to, the previous coating, and paint or overspray. So I'm gonna stick with using the sander. That's just a 80 grit versus a wire wheel. So I think that looks a little bit better. I'll still use the rust reformer because I'm not gonna clean it up all the way. You know, this is good enough for me. I'll spray the rust reformer on it. It'll treat and all these little spots. But yeah, so that's how it's looking. But let me get back to it before it gets too late. So still somewhat nice out. Alright, so this is what I have done so far. I said just about pretty much half the body. I know it doesn't look the best, but just trying to knock down most of the dirt the best I can. There are going to be some areas that are going to be tougher to get to, like all up in there, or just like back in those areas. So I'm gonna try my best to clean them up, to get to them. It's like, I think it was undercoated before, but the sander is doing a decent job on taking that down, and it'll clean all that up. So it's gonna be a combination, still using the wire wheel and the sander, but you see all that dirt that's coming off already. But yeah, the sander, wish I'd have been using that to start with. It does a pretty good job. While I'm at it, might as well start sanding the core support and the bumper reinforcements. I'll coat those the same way with the enamel. But that's it for the day. Like I said, thought I was gonna be able to get to spraying tomorrow, but just it's time consuming. So just gonna finish sanding tomorrow, get it up to at least what I call good. I know it's not gonna be like if I sandblast it, get all the nooks and crannies in there, but I'm just working with what I have, just in my garage, making it happen. So that's it. I'll be back tomorrow, hopefully finish off the sanding. Alright, so back out here, day number 2, sanding it down. Did step down to a 60 grit instead of an 80, just to knock all this, I believe it's undercoating, off and dirt. So 60's doing a pretty good job cutting through it right away, instead of 80 took a little bit longer. So I'll keep at it. I mostly use the sander on everything, but at least the 60 grit, I'm gonna use it on pretty much the underbody with the undercoating. Then for the actual frame, I might step it back up to the 80 grit, just because I have a little bit more 80 grit. But yeah, that's how it's cleaning it up. So I said I'm not gonna be worried about it too much, but I do want to get most of the dirt off. As far as if it's little rust spots here and there, I'm not too concerned. But that's pretty much how it's gonna look overall. There might be little spots here and there, but as far as like dirt and stuff, I'm gonna get the dirt off. But the rust, that's what the rust reformer's for. So I think this undercoating is really heavy just in these back areas right here. Looks a lot lighter up in those areas. It does look like there's a pan right there on the passenger side, so I might remove that pan, clean up what's under there. But that's just the update on day 2, so we'll get back to it. Alright, just got this heat shield off the passenger side. Also took the drive shaft loop off. The heat shield, it was 4 7mm bolts, and then drive shaft loop just 4 13 mils. Alright, so came out, finished on the passenger side, got it all sanded down to what is acceptable for me. I said I didn't need to do it all down to bare metal, just enough to get all the dirt off. Guess I still might have to wipe down in here, hit that with some sandpaper real fast. But pretty much, I'm gonna clean out from under the car, wipe it down, wax and grease remover, and then I'm gonna try to get the rust reformer on today. Just depending on how much time I have. So that's it. All cleaned up. Alright, so did end up taking off the bumper reinforcement just to get in these areas back here. I probably coat all the way up to this seam. But yeah, so took that off, and I took the shop vac and vacuumed any of the places I could get into, like down in here and anywhere else along the frame. Try to get as much dirt and stuff out of there as I can. Next step, I'm gonna wipe it down with some wax and grease remover. So I'll wipe the whole frame down and the underbody. I'll wipe all that down, let that dry for a little bit, and then I'm gonna come out and put the rust reformer on there. So let me get to it. Alright, so there we have it. That was just with the rust reformer. Only picked up 2 cans. I knew should have picked up another one, but I was able to do one pretty much medium coat on everything I wanted to do. I said it's most of the frame, so grab the light. Alright, so I said one medium coat on most of the frame. This is the spots that were pretty rusty. It was all surface rust, nothing rusted through. Wasn't worried about the underbody too much, but I did spray it on some spots with a small amount of surface rust. It's just a medium coat. Got good or decent coverage on most of it. I know with the primer it is going to help. So that's why I use an aerosol can, so I could get in areas like up in there. So it is all coated. I want to do 2 coats, but I only had enough to do 1. But for the most part, I'm okay with it. I know it's going to be fine. With the primer, I might go a little heavier on it. Just to make sure everything is coated. And I have to do the underbody also. So I believe I have 3 cans of primer, but they're larger cans. So this should be able to do a coat or 2. I think it should be able to do 1 light coat and 1 medium coat, and that should be good. Alright, so it's been almost 24 hours with the rust reformer. So next I'm gonna go through with the primer and just coat the frame and the underbody. I'm not gonna do the wheel wells just yet. I'll come back and do those later. I know I need a little bit of repair on the passenger side, but yeah, just anywhere I hit with the rust reformer and the whole underbody, I'm just gonna hit with the primer. So I'll do that first with the Elko out of the way, and let's get to it. Alright, so got a pretty good medium coat of primer on there. So, whole thing is primed. Nice medium coat. Probably get back in there a little bit more, but yeah, for the most part, it's all covered. Give it about 20 more minutes to dry before I start spraying the enamel. I have a couple of aerosol cans which I'll just use for hard to reach places and kind of inside the frame. Everything else I'll just brush on, but that's how I'm gonna do it. So it goes just a little update on the primer, and I'll cut it back on once I'm done with the enamel. Alright, so finish putting the enamel on, and I did start with the brush on, but I ended up just spraying everything. You can see back here a little bit still. If I were to brush the whole thing, kind of see some of the lines from the brushes. So got to touch up that area, but like I said, just went ahead and sprayed everything, and came out pretty nice. Still drying. I'll probably let it sit for a full day or so, but I like how it came out. I did stop right around this area on both sides, so once I do get the front suspension off, I'll just pick up from there and redo the rest. Even the transmission tunnel came out pretty smooth, so yeah, that's it with the undercoating process. Like I said, it's not a show car, it's not perfect, but it is done. So, you know, small things like that nobody really pays attention to, but you look up under the car, it's gonna be nice. So next will be the unboxing of the suspension. Did go a few mi, so you see I haven't even opened it yet, so I kind of want to see what it looks like. A little preview. Well, I guess it'll give me a little preview too. Control arms, maybe. Thought I was going to show y'all. Tune in for the next video.